Some call it treason and refilling the Sea of Galilee. It's 5 in 10 from Skywatch TV. 5 things you need to know in about 10 minutes for Wednesday, November 12th, 2025. I'm Derek Gilbert. You can follow us online on the new 5 in 10 channel on Telegram. If you got the Telegram app, I encourage you to get it and do a search through channels for 5 in 10. Subscribe there. We'll keep you up to date throughout the day. You can also follow us on X. The handle there is at 5_in_10. And again, we will post links to news items of importance throughout the day. Item number 5 today, the government shutdown. It appears to be on the verge of ending as 10 Senate Democrats crossed the aisle to vote with Republicans to end the shutdown. They essentially agreed to the same deal Republicans put on the table right at the beginning of the shutdown fight, ending the government shutdown, which became the longest in American history. This would be a clean bill with funding for the government through September of 26. Federal workers fired during the shutdown to be reinstated, furloughed workers to get back pay, and most importantly, no extension of the Obamacare tax credits until a possible vote on that separately in December. And since Republicans hold the majority, it's likely that that's not going to pass. So the vote in the Senate has sparked an angry rebellion inside the Democratic Party as members realized they walked away with nothing that they wanted. The Democrats apparently thought incorrectly that Donald Trump would be in their power after Democratic wins in the New York City mayor's election and the governor's races in New Jersey and Virginia, that Trump would be intimidated. It's a blue wave. We better do what the Democrats want. That didn't happen. So Democrats walked away, capitulated before the Thanksgiving holiday when they might have been blamed for leaving tens or hundreds of thousands of Americans stuck in airports because air traffic controllers weren't getting paid. We'd already seen a reduction in the number of flights going into and out of American airports for safety reasons because some air traffic controllers were calling in sick rather than going in and working for free. Anyway, party members now calling for a change in Democratic leadership, asking for Chuck Schumer to step down as the minority leader in the Senate. Leftists on social media angry that they got nothing that they wanted. But it's important to remember what they were willing to do. Democrats were trying to shut down the government, shut down food benefits, SNAP and EBT, leading into the holidays in order to continue providing free health care through Obamacare for illegal migrants. They were willing to protect the illegals ahead of American citizens, and that was the reason for this. Loss of government subsidies and cutting out these subsidies will help with the goals that President Trump set out, the goals that he ran on to remove illegal migrants from inside these United States. If they don't have government subsidies, navigating the system becomes more difficult for illegals, and they begin to self-deport. And there are reports that as many as 2 million have already done so. The Republicans apparently coming away with a win here in these negotiations. And a part of that, again, is the encouragement for illegal migrants to self-deport. Topic number 4, treason. A series of posts on X by the account Data Republican, actually a woman named Jessica Pounds, has peeled back new layers of what appears to be a network of, a color revolution style operation orchestrated by Democrats, nonprofit groups, ex-employees from USAID, and billionaires, leftist billionaires, to undermine and destabilize President Trump from within. They couldn't get him through lawfare or through impeachment. Now they're just essentially working with, and here's what's different to previous efforts to protest against the Trump administration. They're working with people from outside the United States. This is what's new. The participants in this group being revealed by Data Republican on X is, quote, a global anti-authoritarian movement, end quote, which connects U.S. officials with, and I'm quoting again, colleagues from around the world who have dealt with this directly, end quote. They reference coordination with Johns Hopkins University, international democracy and conflict mitigation spaces, and efforts to motivate and mobilize people across borders against what they are calling, quote, domestic authoritarianism, end quote. In other words, this is the kind of insurrection that President Trump was accused of back in 2016 when the Crossfire Hurricane investigation was launched to accuse the Trump campaign of working with Russia to affect the 2016 election. This is what you call treason, actively working against the government, especially by bringing in people from the outside to destabilize the sitting president of the United States. It's time for the Trump administration to get really serious about investigating the workings of these so-called nonprofits, these non-government organizations, and what they are doing to mobilize protests on the streets. Topic number 3, more power, not political power, electricity. Artificial intelligence and these data centers are creating a huge demand for new power. The rollout of new data centers is outstripping the available grid, the electric grid. The question is not just who's going to pay for these new data centers, but who's going to pay for the power. The chart behind me, the blue bar, shows the amount of power estimated to be needed by the United States between 2025 and 2028. The first yellow bar is the data centers under construction. The second yellow bar is available U.S. grid capacity, and the red bar shows the gap between the amount of electricity we need and the amount of electricity we have. In other words, that's the gap that has to be filled to supply these new data centers. Morgan Stanley investment bank calculated in December the United States is going to need about 36 gigawatts of new power to be brought online by 2028 to power all of these yet to be built data centers, and that's at a cost of $50 to $60 billion per gigawatt. So we're talking several $1 trillion here. Where's that money going to come from? Apparently it's going to come from the U.S. government, because we're committed to being first in the AI space, because if we don't get there first, the Chinese will. Despite the risks caused by artificial intelligence, as we have talked about in this program for months, the Trump administration getting ready to make funding available to build new power plants. But in order to bring new plants online that deliver consistent, reliable power, we're talking about new coal and or nuclear plants. It's not going to be wind and solar that provides the power for these data centers. They're not reliable, and that means the green energy dreams of purple-haired liberals is going to go by the boards, because AI and the demand for AI, even among liberals, is going to require new power, and you're not going to get it from windmills and solar panels. Item number 2 today, Iran. Iran is facing a drought of, frankly, biblical proportions. It's got a population of some 90 million people, and rainfall is at record lows. Reservoirs are nearly empty, and this is in a Middle Eastern climate that is desert across much of that country. The situation has gotten so desperate that President Masoud Pezeshkian said that if the drought persists for another month, the water for Tehran might have to be rationed, and that's already happening. And Pezeshkian went on to say, if this doesn't work, we may have to evacuate Tehran. Now, that's probably hyperbole, because that got a bunch of criticism from the Iranian media. The former mayor of Tehran said that evacuating Tehran makes no sense at all, but it does kind of illustrate the seriousness of the problem. Regional analysts report that there's a 90% decrease in rainfall in Iran compared to last year, and they are just flat running out of water. It just makes you wonder if Iran, which attacked Israel for the first time in history last year, that this might be divine retribution. Or Mossad space lasers, perhaps. Coming up, and serious though, pray for the people of Iran. This is not a laughing matter because everybody needs water to survive. And coming up, we will talk about how Israel deals with record drought. That's next on 5 and 10.
This is how we're going to raise a remnant, a body of Christ that's going to stand in the gap for these kids that are voiceless. These kids have no voice. They have no champion. We're going to change that. The book, Innocence Shattered, it points out the malevolent industries that are exploiting our children. It gets into how in the world, Alan, these kids can be coming up missing without a chain of custody. If you were to ask me, Joe Horn, with all the years that you've been working with children, and you've looked into the eyes of those that have been absolutely devastated, ravaged by abuse from malevolent people who have taken pleasure in the screams of terror exhaled, innocence completely stripped before it's even had a chance to find its calling. I believe that that is precisely why Lucifer has waged this war on children in particular, because if they never find why God put them here, he intercepts and snuffs out another warrior for the kingdom. Kids that have experienced this have experienced a lot of it at the malevolent hands of people that are evil. These are people that have given themselves over to Luciferian powers. These are people that take delight in the suffering of children. The average, based on the most intelligent aggregators of information that we have in the United States right now, place it at about 11 to 12 children per day from foster care alone, not the vast population of kids growing up in homes where they haven't been removed yet are coming up missing. No clue where they've gone, they're just gone. Many who will end up being classified as runaway. People feel stirred by it, they want to support you, but they themselves don't feel that they have what it takes to endure barrage after barrage of just the worst parts of humanity. It's in the book, Innocence Shattered. There is a ton of beautiful information, and people just aren't seeing it for the most part because they're not taking the chance. There is an appendix that goes on and on and on about some of the most beautiful ways that people can intervene. And I'm talking anybody, Alan. I don't care if you're grandmother on a pension. I don't care if you're a man that has billions of dollars in land. There is something rather more than just anecdotal praying once a week that you can throw at this. And it is available in this book. Again, a series of thought exercises that help guide the reader through the process of giving God your yes and a belief in how you really, really can make a difference. Wow. So yes, it's an ugly conversation that almost nobody wants to have, but it's the responsibility of the church to have it because we can't wait for the world to do it. The Holy Spirit can show up in a supernatural way and do things for these children that nothing else can do. It's a supernatural battle, and it is time for the church to say enough. Not one more kid in a dog cage, not one more kid out there lost, not one more child not being fed today, not on my watch.
Item number 1 today, refilling the Sea of Galilee. Seriously, the Israel Water Authority is channeling desalinated water from the Mediterranean into the Sea of Galilee. This is the first time anywhere anyone has ever tried to top up a freshwater lake with desalinated water from the sea, from an ocean. This is a groundbreaking project that's been years in the making and began just a few weeks ago, back on October 23rd. It's expected to raise the level of the Sea of Galilee by about half a centimeter, or about a quarter of an inch roughly, per month. Now, we were there just a few weeks ago. We were out on the Sea of Galilee on the Jesus boat, which is a boat tour on the Sea of Galilee operated by a Messianic Jewish owner, Danny Carmel. And we had to leave from a different dock because the usual departure place at Capernaum is too low for the boats to get up to the dock. So it's a pretty serious problem. On Monday, the level of the lake was at just below 700 feet below sea level, which is about 13 inches above what they call the lower red line, which is the lowest point that the water level of the Sea of Galilee can drop before pumping water out of it damages the ecosystem. And the Sea of Galilee, of course, is the main source of fresh water for Israel. Israel pulls millions of cubic feet of water out of the Sea of Galilee on an annual basis to supply the local communities there and for agriculture. But now it is beginning to refill the Sea of Galilee by desalinating water and pumping it in from the Mediterranean. Now, given that California is typically short of water, maybe California could do something like this. Desalinate, the ocean that's next door and use some of this Israeli technology. Just a thought. This week on Skywatch TV, a very serious discussion. That is the new book by Joe Ardis Horn, the host of Skywatch TV, Innocence Shattered. And since he is the guest this week, I was honored to sit in as the host. Please watch the programs. Go back and watch last week's program, and we'll tell you how to access our archives in just a moment. But you can watch this week's program right now at skywatchtv.com. Over the air, our broadcast schedule at skywatchtv.com/channels. You can also watch it on your big screen by adding the Skywatch TV channel to your smart TV or set-top box. Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV. We've also got apps for Google TV and Android TV. Just go to their app store and find the Skywatch TV channel, add it to your set-top box or smart TV, and we'll be there whenever you click the remote, broadcasting on your schedule. You can also watch us right now on the internet, youtube.com/@Skywatch Television. Please subscribe, share, click the bell for notifications, and hit that like button. Rumble.com/Skywatch TV, or download our free mobile app to your smartphone or tablet. That brings all of our content right into your mobile device. You can download them for watching offline later. And we've got apps available for iOS, Android, and Amazon Kindle Fire devices. Links to their app stores are at skywatchtv.com/app. Again, follow 5 and 10 online. Telegram, we have a channel there. You'll find us on YouTube at 5 and 10. Please subscribe, share, click the bell for notifications, hit the like button, and on X at 5_in_10. And thank you for watching as we keep watch. I'm Derek Gilbert. This is 5 in 10 from Skywatch TV.